Also this idea that really gets to me, and it's true psychologically, which is scary, right? Like there have been
Yeah.
research studies which prove it, and it's an idea that goes back to the Bible, where it was in the Gospel of Matthew, where he says, "May the rich get richer and the poor get poorer." And we think about that, and that is the least fair way of thinking ever, ever. But
Yeah.
when we really think about it, we could think about it in terms of a financial way. But this is the Bible. He doesn't really talk. They're not talking about this in a financial way. They're talking about this in a
Yeah.
spiritual way. They're talking about this in a passion way, and they're talking about this in a universal way. So when you think about it, the rich in this case are the people who decide to really go and make a big decision, and they're going to get richer because they're going to get new opportunities. They're going to get new ways of thinking, right? And they're going to learn from this experience. But for the people who are
Yeah.
poor, and as in poor, I mean the people who don't hit up people, who don't go and take any action towards their goals, they get less of the opportunities. They lose their potential. They lose their ability to go and do things because time is a ticking clock. Eventually they're going to hit the
Yeah.
point of 24, and they're going to have to go and get a job. And they're going to lose out on their dreams. And the poor end up getting poorer. And it really does scare me. And the fact that most people say, I'm going to take action later. I'm going to take action later. But in reality, they're just getting, in our words, poorer.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and you make a good point. Like, it's by no means financial. Like, you mean it just, yeah. I 100% agree. Like if you don't get started, like it's like, all right, like it's your loss, right? Like it's no one else's loss but yours. So it's just like, all right, like that's what, like, lights a fire in me. Like, all right, like I don't want to lose. I want to be like, mentally wealthy, right? Mental wealth and everything. Like everyone talks about that. Like I like, you just gotta get started, and it really is a key to just, like, all sorts of success and whatnot. Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. When you think about mental wealth, we think about. I like to talk about this in sort of like contemporary terms. Spending 1 hour learning or reading a book or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Like some sort of educational piece versus spending 1 hour on TikTok. Like when you think about that, or spending 1 hour just doing some sort of time wasting activity. Actually, I'm reading about a philosopher right now called Seneca, and in his works he says that we say that life is short, but at the same time most of us waste most of our days. Often our day is just wasted.
Yeah.
It's scary. It really is. And you know and at the same time that means you're slowly dying, right? That means you're getting poorer in this sense. And you think about it, and 1 hour of growing your information, growing your knowledge, growing yourself, that can make a world of a difference if you end up compounding that. But at the same time, if you spend 1 hour on TikTok, if you spend 1 hour on social media, 1 hour just doing something that's wasting your time, then you end up actually depleting your ability to do difficult things, and also you're depleting your motivation to do the actual important things. So it really does
Yeah.
stand true in the fact that the rich do get rich and the poor get poor.
No, 100%. And I'd be a liar if I didn't admit, like, that, spending an hour on TikTok, I'm guilty of that every day. Like, I'm always guilty of that. And I'm like, sometimes 2 hours, but like, nonetheless, like, no, you're 100% right. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about before, right? Like, sort of people who get started earlier, right? Or who just, take the initiative, right? Maximize serendipity, whatever you want to call it, right? They take advantage of compounding. And that's like key, right? Like that's like compounding itself, right? It's, it can mean so many things. Basically, right? Just like doing something, whatever it is, like a little bit every day, like in the long run, it'll be huge, right? And it'll just, like, absolutely explode, right? Just like taking advantage of sort of exponential growth and whatnot. And like, I see it everywhere. Oh my God, there's so many.
Really.
You see it in, like, see it in startups, right? You see it in, like, sort of personal growth. I don't know. You see it in, like, knowledge, right? Becoming like if you want to say, if you want to be considered an expert, like, again, those people who, and I actually talk about this in my book, right? Like, again, moonshots are for everyone. Anyone can do it, regardless of, sort of financial well-being or whatever it may be. And that's another thing I want to bring up, nonetheless. But like, right, like, anyone can do it, right? It's just that, they need that, that initiation, that like initiating energy, right? Like that foundational, right? Just like that most basic sort of motivation to, like, do whatever they want, right? Pursue whatever they want. But they gotta just remember, right? Like, all the people who, like, really are successful, like, they start small and they start it, regularly, right? They're not, they're not like bold from the start, right? They do it like, little chunks by little chunks, and just, those chunks just eventually, compound into something exponential, right? And like, obviously I'm talking about, like, career trajectory and whatnot, but nonetheless, right? Like, you want to be like an expert on something, right? Start like, 10 minutes a day, like read something new about that field. Eventually, those 10 minutes will turn into 20 and 20 into 30. And then, if you do it like, weeks and months on end, like you're going to learn so much, right? And again, it's just like taking advantage of that sort of compounding knowledge, or that compounding sort of intelligence, and everything will come out of it. And you'll be qualified enough to become, become an expert, or whatever you want to be. Just like if you want to, feel like you're ready to take on the moonshot or whatever it is, right? Like that's how you get started.
And a big thing you're talking about right there is patience, right? Being able
Oh my God,
to,
yeah.
yeah, like it's so bad. And the fact that, when I was younger, I used to do this thing where it would be, I always used to do this like two times a month, let's say. I'd say I need to start working out. So I'd start working out. I'd be like, all right, cool. Let me do some push-ups right now. And now
Yeah.
for the rest of my life, I'm going to work out an hour a day. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to make this drastic change in my life. And then you wake up the next day and it just doesn't work out. You don't get the motivation to do it. Your body doesn't let you do it. And it's because I was so impatient. I was looking for the results right away. I was saying, you know what? If I don't have, my brain was saying this. I wasn't saying this explicitly.
Yeah.
If I don't get jacked within a month, then I'm just, I'm just worthless, or, I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be patient enough to get my way through it. I'd rather take the easy way out.